So, how do we stay positive and move forward when we've been disrupted? Disruption means forcible separation. To disrupt is to cause disorder or turmoil. In business, disruption is a radical shift in an industry or business. Due to forces outside of any of our control, everybody has been disrupted. So the question is, how did we get here? Could we have seen the storm coming? Now, in hindsight, I look back and I see that business has followed a couple of phases with this current pandemic that we're all facing. The first phase was a denial of reality. I think the signs were there, just like we could tell when a storm is coming. We see the clouds rolling in, we see the waves kind of pushing back, we see things are changing. However, there's a denial of reality. I'm going to continue with business as normal, and hopefully I'm not going to be affected. It's probably not going to be anything for me. The second phase is an unsettled avoidance. This is when the storm is getting closer. You're starting to feel the waves. You're starting to feel the mist on your face. You feel uneasy, but you're still going to try to ignore it because hopefully this isn't really going to affect you that bad. And then the third phase, the inevitable happens, disruption. Circumstances outside of your control force you to stop, and now you have to respond. People who haven't prepared for this are having to react in the moment. They're having to respond in emergency mode. And I've seen so many businesses be devastated by the current pandemic. I don't want to sound insensitive, but I think it all comes down to a lack of preparation, both tactically and mentally and emotionally. Tactical preparation means that you haven't diversified your income. Your income is primarily from one source, or you have one skill set. It also looks like not having enough runway or money in the bank or an emergency fund. Tactical preparation in a digital age looks like setting yourself up to work virtually or remotely, having digital tools so that you can operate without a physical office. If you haven't tactically prepared for the situation in your business, you're definitely responding to the moment and you're at the mercy of the circumstances. However, I've seen some people who weren't tactically prepared, but they're mentally and emotionally doing fine. I've also seen people who are tactically okay, meaning they don't really have much to worry about with their business, income is steady, or they have savings in the bank, yet they're mentally and emotionally falling apart. And I believe this is because there's a lack of mental and emotional preparation. I love reading from scripture, and in James chapter 1, he talks about counting it a joy when you suffer trials. He says, "Count it a joy, my brothers, when you suffer trials of many kind, because the testing of your faith builds perseverance. And perseverance has to have its work so your faith will be complete, not lacking anything." When I first heard that verse, it sounded really strange to me because how are you going to count it a joy when you're suffering a trial? But he doesn't say be joyful because you're going through a trial. He says you can count it a joy because the testing of your faith builds perseverance. I always took that when I was going through the hardest times in my life, that whatever God had for my life required a faith that I didn't have at the moment. In order for that faith to be developed and built up, I had to persevere through some trials. So therefore, if I was going through a trial, I could count it a joy. If you're one who typically runs from conflict, or when things get hard, or you like to stay in your comfort zone, or when you get stretched, you kind of flee and go the other way, you're not going to be mentally and emotionally prepared. It's just like going to the gym and exercising your muscles. In order for them to get strong, you have to stretch them, you have to rip them, you have to be uncomfortable. So mental and emotional preparation means not fleeing from conflict, not fleeing from difficulty, getting outside of your comfort zone, being okay, and not just being okay and embracing, but driving change. If there's no pain, there's no gain. They say tough times don't last, but tough people do. In the time of a trial, this is where a true leader shows what he's made out of. So what do? We can't go back in time and tactically and mentally and emotionally prepare for the current storm that we're going through. But what we can do is prepare for the next one because it is going to come again. So tactical preparation means digging your well before you're thirsty. When the drought comes, it's a little too late to think about how deep your cisterns need to be. You have to think about that ahead of time. And the mental and emotional preparation looks like not avoiding conflict, not fleeing when things get hard. It means intentionally thinking about how you can stretch yourself and get outside of your comfort zone. Again, I don't want to sound insensitive, but I do want to make sure that we're all set up to be mentally, emotionally, and tactically prepared for the next round of disruption because it is coming, just in a different form.